Hi there, I'm Jan, Shegdev Clarity Coaching. Welcome to our discussion about Artisans or SPs on the Myers-Briggs. The 5 topics we're going to cover are, first, what makes an artisan tick, number 2, typical career paths for artisans, 3, ways to build connection, 4, things not to do to artisans, and then we'll finish up with a tip of the day for our artisan friends, or if you are an artisan yourself. So, what makes an artisan tick? Artisans are SP on the Myers-Briggs, so that's ISFP, ISTP, ESTP, and ESFP. And really what they want out of life is simple. They want fun, adventure, they want to really experience and live life in the moment. So, if you think about the work situation or home situation, really, that's what they're after. Something that's not going to tie them down, that's going to be hopelessly boring or drudgery, but really allows them to experience life. So artisans make up 22% of the U.S. population. They're the second largest group, and they're concrete and utilitarian. So what that means is they're concrete. That's how they get information from the world around them. So what's factual, what's real, what do my 5 senses tell me, what can I see, touch, taste, hear, and smell. And I'm going to use that information in a useful way, utilitarian. So what works? Once I have that data, how am I going to figure out an innovative way to put it to work for me? So because of that, something that's really significant about artisans is their ability to improv. Improvisation is really a strength for artisans. They're fantastic at it. For that reason, they're really great with people. They're great with any activity that's in the moment where they kind of have to figure things out as they go. And they have body-based or somatic intelligence, which means that the best way that they learn is, again, in the moment, with their hands, and really kind of getting in there in the nitty-gritty and figuring things out. So let's talk about careers for artisans, because if their particular brand of intelligence is somatic or physical intelligence, let's think about our school system and how our school system typically is. Generally, when you go to school when you're younger, it's more lecture style, where you're given some information and then you're asked to recycle that information back to the professor or teacher and let them know that you understand it. Something that anyone can do, certainly, but if it's not your primary learning style, it's very frustrating. And so most artisans become increasingly frustrated throughout their school years as they grow more into themselves, and it's just less and less hitting them the way they like to learn, which again is hands-on learning. So by the time you get to college, many artisans have kind of gotten pretty frustrated and don't see the value of going to a 4-year university. They may choose a different kind of school that's going to train them for a particular trade, or some kind of like acting school or music school, things like that. And those are great places for them to really come into themselves. A typical career path for an artisan, or not career path, typical careers that artisans tend to go into are something that requires them to use their body-based intelligence. So some examples. Artisans might be actors or actresses. They could be tradesmen or women, so like an electrician or a mechanic. They could be a musician, an athlete, really anything that you think about having to use your body in the moment to create something new and different. That's really where they excel. So with that, well, let's talk about business as well. So business, generally, the places that we would find artisans are in any people-facing roles. So they're excellent with customer service. So you might see them as salesmen or women. You might see them as administrators in one sense or another, particularly if it's more of like a receptionist type client-facing position, and any type of client management, client relationship role. They're very good at that sort of thing. So a typical career path for an artisan usually includes a lot of changes and shorter tenure than when we talk about guardians, who tend to stay at one place for a long time. Artisans like variety, right? They like freedom. They like possibilities and choices. And because of that, they tend to stay somewhere a shorter amount of time. They often also have more job changes in terms of actual complete industries. They might totally switch from one thing to another as they're figuring out what really makes them tick and is the most fun and adventuresome and happy place for them to be. So when I work with artisans, it's really important for us to get down to, okay, let's find you a position that's hopefully within your area of talent, but also there needs to be a lot of freedom, a lot of possibility for change within your actual role, so that if you do want to stay at a company longer term, you can, if there's options to get to a different department, to do something new, and basically, capitalize on their strength of being really good with change. And they are really good with change. So that's the first couple sections. Let's talk next about ways to build connection with an artisan. First thing you can do to build connection is give them that freedom and that fun. Really, what artisans want, whether it's work or at home, out of their relationships, is they want a playmate. They want someone to share in the enjoyment of life and really experience all that life has to offer. By contrast, when we talked about the guardians, really they almost want a workmate or someone to help them, kind of a helpmate type situation. They want somebody to share their ideals about life, that's going to work hard, that's going to be responsible, and that they can trust. And for artisans, it's just simpler than that. They just want someone to enjoy, and that's really going to share that sense of adventure and fun and join them in it. So because of that, things not to do to an artisan, anything that would be the opposite of giving them freedom and adventure, right? So tying them down, keeping them in a really boring work situation, particularly something like, a cubicle in the back corner where they don't interact with people. Even for the introverted artisans, that can be really stressful. They really enjoy people for the most part. Another thing that can be difficult for artisans is burdening them with a lot of talking, talk about feelings, or talk about ideas of where the universe came from, or these deep theories that don't maybe have a lot of application in the now. Because again, artisans are about the now. They really just want to be sharing life in the physical world right now with you. So anything that you're doing that's taking them away from the concrete world is frustrating in one way or another. Likewise, taking away their ability to make different choices or freedom or commitment. And so we should talk about, personal relationships with this. It doesn't necessarily mean that artisans don't ever want to get married or settle down and have children. It just means if and when they do those things, they still need a lot of leeway to pursue the things that make them happy. So they're probably never going to be the type of person that wants to sit at home and do the same thing night after night, weekend after weekend. They want to go, again, experience what the world has to offer. So the best thing you can do to connect with them is to share in that. And at work, similarly, find ways to make the relationship fun. So maybe that's friendly banter over email or talking around the water cooler or whatever it is. Artisans want to build connection by doing fun, and they're going to respect you the most if you're the kind of person that can really cut loose and enjoy life. So finishing up with our tip of the day for all of our artisan friends, and if you are an artisan yourself. Because artisans are so great at living in the moment, sometimes the strategic long-term planning can go by the wayside. And it's really important for artisans to think about, what do I really want out of life? So when we talked about guardians, we talked about them not having so many shoulds. For artisans, it's really, what do I want? What's important to me? Yes, I'm having fun today, but what are the things that I want to accomplish in my life? If I want to climb Mount Everest, are there some concrete steps that still could be adventuresome and engaging that I could be taking now? Most artisans are kind of averse to the idea of a plan or, a 10-step process to do something, but there are ways to do it that make a lot of sense still for artisans and can make it fun and engaging and can get them to where they want to get to in the end. But coming back again to tip of the day for artisans, spend some time thinking about, what is it that I really want? And is there anything that my life is asking of me to get that more long term, so I can live my life of adventure, of fun, of freedom, and really experiencing all that life has to offer. So that's what we have about artisans for today. So thanks for joining us. Feel free to leave me any questions or comments on my Facebook page, on YouTube, email me, whatever, and make sure that we cover everything that you want to know. Thanks, and see you next time.